Yes, you are right. Kids today, Gen Z, younger people, whatever you want to call us, don't want to work. Just give me some time to explain why. So, there's this idea that kids today don't want to work, or at least this generation, or just younger people in general, that we don't want to work for anything, we don't want to get our hands dirty, we're lazy, and we all just want to be influencers, TikTokers, YouTubers, or whatever. But at the end, we're just lazy and don't want to do any real work, and we're always looking for a shortcut. And I know older generations always have something to say about the last, but this is one of the most common things I hear about younger people like myself. And I don't know if this is even going to reach the target audience about those who think this, but I just really want to try to explain why younger people like myself do not want to work. And also, I'm 23 years old, by the way. I cannot speak for everybody my age, but I will speak for myself, and I hope that other people my age feel the same. Okay, so I want to start this off on the deep end and then bring it all back. So, starting at the foundation, first, you are a human being and you are going to die one day. If you are listening and understanding these words right now, you are the most complex thing in the known universe, living in the best time thus far, with potential to achieve things that no other living thing has ever been able to experience. It took billions of years to make you, and your entire bloodline has died, suffered, and lived just for you to be here to be able to take your next breath. And one day, I can guarantee you will take your last breath and then never again for the rest of eternity. Now, why am I saying all this? To really drill into the point that we don't have time to half-ass this life we have. The clock is forever ticking and can end at any moment, and when it's over, it's just over. Forever. And the worst possible pain that I can think of is looking back at my life on my deathbed, knowing I didn't live a life that I truly desire to live, knowing that I'm dying with all my dreams on the table, and I never got to experience the things I actually wanted to experience, that I spent my entire existence building someone else's dream while forgetting about mine. I lived my life for others, never living for myself or even attempting to figure out what the mystery of life is about. And I'm leaving this world forever, knowing I had all the potential, all the tools, and all the ability to do, achieve, and have more, and I just didn't. And once you realize that you only get one chance at this shit, your goals for life change. And once again, I can't speak for others, but I realize that if I am going to only live life once, I want to live it my way. I want to live true to me, especially if I have the ability to do so. Because I get it. My ancestors and even a lot of people alive today didn't or don't have a choice. I get it. But so many people have died in order to give me a choice. And now that I have that choice, I am going to use it. So if I'm even going to attempt to get the most out of this life, I need to have the ability to control my life. Freedom. This is the goal. To get the most out of this short life that I have, whatever that means to me. So bringing it back, why doesn't this generation want to work? Let's talk about work. So what's the point of working? Why do so many people get up and go to a job? Well, it's so they can afford their wants and their needs. Obviously, so they can pay the bills and have enough money left over to have fun, do whatever, and just live. Yes, but the very first part to all of that is money. I don't think many would argue that money is the most important thing. You remove the money and people stop working. Money is what makes the world go around and why people pick one job over another. And of course, there are those who are truly passionate about something, but majority of people pick a major, they get a degree, and they pick a job because it sounds somewhat tolerable, but mainly because it pays a decent bit of money over something else. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, most people are only working to get money, to get a check. There's no real passion or anything, it's just for money, which isn't a problem, but that's really what it comes down to. Why money? Well, because you need money. No shit. Money is able to grant us the ability to survive, to buy things to cover our needs and make our lives more comfortable. It gives you the ability to have nice things, raise your status, have fun, and have experiences, etc. And we know that if we have enough money, it can buy freedom, which can lead to finding your purpose, which can then lead to living a fulfilling life. And another word for freedom can be retirement. Most people's main ticket to freedom is retirement, because retirement is basically just delayed freedom. It's having enough money saved up or invested, so you no longer need to work for money, and you can truly do what you want without having to be tied to a job. This is what people are working towards, either consciously or subconsciously. If you ask vast majority of people, they either don't like their job or it's just tolerable. And if they had enough money to stop working or retire, they would immediately. So really, the ultimate goal for working and having a job is not the work, but money to have all your needs covered, and then it's saving up for retirement, aka freedom. Because everyone understands soullessly working a job forever is depressing. Okay, so the ultimate goal is freedom. This is what younger people want and what people have been fighting for generations. Having freedom, being in control, and having autonomy over one's life is one of the biggest factors of someone's happiness. Because with freedom, you can truly spend time and resources in developing other areas of your life, like your health, your relationships, finding some peace and purpose in your life. You can work on meaningful projects and devote your time to actually helping people. You can actually begin the journey and trying to figure out what life is. Without freedom, you can never really focus on these areas of your life. Like, sure, you can try to grow them, but you can never focus on them as much as you could if you were truly free. It will always be limited. And if you live your entire life unfree, did you truly live? It's like today. Why are so many families broken? Because people don't have the freedom to actually spend time together, fix problems, and bond. Why do so many divorces happen? Because of money and the lack of freedom. Why are most people in shape? Well, because most people don't have the time or energy to work out, and it's cheaper to buy the unhealthy foods. Why don't people travel as much? Because they don't have the time or money. Why do people buy the cheaper item instead of buying the thing that they actually really wanted? Because they don't have the money and the freedom to do so. Why are most people just happy in general? Because they don't have time, money, and freedom to do what they actually want to do with their lives. And because they aren't free and will never truly be free, they will never live anything close to their true potential and die living an unfulfilling life. And I'm not trying to be mean or harsh or anything, but I'm just trying to be absolutely real about this. Freedom and money is one of the most important things in the world we live in today, if you truly want to get the most out of your existence, because it impacts almost every single area of our lives. Like seriously, try to think of an area of your life in which money, time, and freedom wouldn't help it in some way, or at the very least, would it make it worse? Like, I just really want to drill into the point that younger people like myself just want freedom. Because like whenever I was young and people would ask me what I wanted to do with my life, the simple answer was whatever I wanted. But that seems like such a weird answer to give, because it seems wrong to say that. Like saying that we want freedom and control over our lives, that we want to be control over our time. It just sounds wrong and immature. We just want to be able to live and do what we actually want to do with our lives. Now, just because this is what younger people want doesn't mean we want to sit around and do nothing. It doesn't mean we're lazy. It doesn't mean we just want to sit in a dark room and do nothing for the next 50 years. Of course not. Just because we want control over our time and lives doesn't mean we're going to literally waste it doing nothing. We physically cannot. We are humans too. We need to work on something. We just want the ability to use this time to create a life that we can look back on and be proud of. That's all we want. And if this is the goal and we don't have time to waste, the goal should be to achieve freedom as fast as possible, because time is ticking and is never coming back, and this could all end at any moment. So now that you understand that the goal is to get the most out of our lives by achieving freedom, let's talk about working a 9-to-5. So the problem. Keep this question in the back of your mind during this section. When are you supposed to stop working and have freedom? So if I could summarize this in one sentence, it's not that we don't want to work, but if we are going to work on something long term, then we want it to have a good payoff at the end. And the simple truth is that if you work a 9-to-5 forever, you're going to die never being truly free. Okay, so let's talk about how to even achieve freedom through a 9-to-5. So the very first part of having freedom is having time freedom. And to have time freedom, you need financial freedom. You need to have enough money to actually be able to stop working and live off the money you have, so that all of your expenses are covered without having to be tied to a job to make more money. This is literally what retirement is and why people invest. All right, cool. Work a 9-to-5 until you retire so you can finally have freedom. But how much money do you actually need to retire? If you actually sit down and figure out how much money you'll need to stop working, and you try to figure out how a job will get you there, you're going to realize two things. Either A, you're going to be working for the rest of your life, or B, you're going to need to make a lot more money than you think. Because for those who don't know, realistically, you cannot retire off of $50,000, $100,000, even $1 million. Usually to retire comfortably, you're going to need multi-millions of dollars, especially if you want to have a family, a pretty solid house, some toys, go on vacation, travel, actually live and have real experiences. Because you can achieve a lesser version of financial freedom by not having a ton of money. But you're still going to need to worry about the prices on this thing and that thing, and you're still limited on what you can do. You still can't get the things that you actually want. And in my opinion, that's not truly free. I'm thinking freedom as being able to buy what you actually want to buy and do whatever you actually want to do and not have to worry about the price. And this is within reason, of course. Like, I'm not saying you can go buy like 10 Lamborghinis and a yacht without caring, but more like being able to walk into a Whole Foods and fill your cart up with the good shit and not really caring about it, or buying an M5 in cash instead of finance, or staying in another country or state for a month instead of only 3 days because you actually have the time and money for it. Like an above average life, but nothing stupid. Stuff like that. So you are probably going to need more than $1 million to have freedom, but I'm not saying you need something like $100 million. It strongly depends on a lifestyle that you want to have. Let's say your goal is $5 million. I say 5 million because it's my number, and I believe this can get you a very more than comfortable life. I'll try to explain why I say $5 million, and maybe it can help you come up with an answer for yourself. So I don't want any kids as of right now, nor do I want anything crazy, but a nice house in a nice area with a couple of cars, but mainly time will be nice. With $5 million, you can buy a $750,000 house in cash. Some cars that come up to around $250 million. So that's $1 million spent right there. And then you'll have another $1 million on the side you can spend on random things like food, traveling, whatever, like little gadgets. And then you'll have around $3 million invested that can make you around $150,000 a year passively, or making you around $10,000 a month after tax. Of course, this isn't perfect and you can move the numbers around if you want to, but I think that me personally, I would be very comfortable as long as I don't try to do anything stupid. I think this number is reasonable. It's high, but it is not too high. And I think most people will be comfortable around this number. So let's assume that your goal is also $5 million. Cool. If so, and excuse my language, how the fuck are you going to get there? It's not okay to just say, well, I don't know, we'll see, but actually do the math on this because your freedom depends on it. Also, I'm not trying to sound mean or harsh or anything, but just please do this. Let's figure out some ways to get there, to get to $5 million. Let's say you're making $50,000 a year. Cool. It's going to take you a fucking century to get there. Let's say you're balling, right? And you're making $100,000 a year. It'll take you half a century. And you're probably thinking, well, actually, you can't even do that. And plus, you can invest, silly. And yeah, you're right. My bad. Let's say you're smart and you start up a 401k at 22 years old, right out of college, and you invest $1,000 a month into his 401k until you're 60. Well, you only have 2.2 million, not even half of 5 million. Fuck it, you max it out. $22,000 every single year until you're 60. Well, fuck, you're still only at 4 million, not 5 million. Okay, so you work for 3 more years. Now you're working for 41 years and you're 63 instead of 60. And yes, you're finally at $5 million. Wow. Well, actually, you're not even at 5 million because the thing that everybody forgets is inflation. Shit's getting expensive. And it won't ever stop getting more expensive. So that $5 million 40 years from now will only give you the buying power of around $1.6 million today. And because that'll get pretty heavily taxed, let's say you actually keep around $1 million to actually use. So here's a better way of thinking about it. 40 years ago, a house was around $80,000. Now the average house is around $426,000. That's over a 5 times increase. Meaning, if the prices of houses continue to rise at the exact same rate, by the time you get your $5 million, the average house will cost you $2.2 million, and a Camry will be over $100,000, while gas is at $15 a gallon. So, yeah, you'll have money, but everything will be so expensive that it's going to eat into it very quickly. And there's probably some people thinking, well, hey, I mean, this isn't half bad. You know, I got $1 million, you know, I got a house, I got a car, some money on the side, blah, 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 blah. But remember, all of this is fucking best case scenario. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm willing to bet that vast majority of people are not fucking maxing out a 401k at 22 years old and will continue to do so for 41 years straight. Let's throw in a realistic, above average example here. Let's say you don't really start investing until you're 25 and you put in $500 towards your retirement every single month, which is pretty decent. You'll only have $800,000 or around $300,000 in actual buying power when you're 60 before taxes. So being realistically, if you do this, at the end, you can expect to barely buy a house, meaning you are not free and will most likely keep working into your old age. So, once again, how are you going to retire? When are we finally going to get this freedom? Okay, so one more math thing, I promise. If someone is 20 years old right now and they wanted to retire at 60 with $5 million in the bank, they're going to have to invest $24,000 per year like clockwork. That's $2,000 a month for 720 months straight at 7%, and they'll finally hit $5 million at 60 years old. Well, actually, because of inflation, they're going to need closer to $15 million in 40 years. So actually, they would need to invest $70,000 per year for 40 years straight just to have freedom starting at 20 years old. Now, obviously, this is not realistic for a vast majority of people. So, once again, show me the math. Explain it to me. How are we going to get there? If we ever really want to have freedom, how is a 9-to-5 ever going to get us there? Okay, so we're done with the math. And after doing all of this, hopefully if you're like me, you can see 3 huge problems with this whole retirement stuff just in general. So first, coming back to reality. This is all hypothetical. These are just numbers. Everything I said isn't actually real. This is absolute best case scenario with perfect conditions. It could go better than this. It could go worse. And sure, you're right. I might have X amount of money if I invest X dollars for X years at X return. Cool. That's just numbers on paper, but nothing in reality. Like, imagine you've been investing consistently for 40 years and you have $3 million in the bank. And then a recession hits and your portfolio loses over 33% or around $1 million. And you have no choice but to keep working into your old age to make up this difference. And like, this might sound like some crazy doomsday scenario, but this happened to someone just a few years ago when a stock market dropped. There's just so much hope. Like, you're hoping all of this is consistent, which it won't be. You're hoping at 35 years old, your investments don't get cut in half, which it might. You're hoping inflation doesn't get worse and it ruins the value of your investments. You're hoping you're even alive to see your 60s. You're hoping you don't get laid off. You're hoping you don't have any big financial crises, whatever. You're hoping you're able to pay this consistently and never have a bad month or year. Everything has to go almost perfectly, and even then, you barely make it. And second, the big one is time. We have all heard this at some point, but we all just seem to keep forgetting this. Time is the most valuable thing we have. Every second we live is lost forever, and there is nothing more that people dream for, yearn for whenever they're about to die than more time. Their youth back. And we younger people have youth, but only for a time, and one day we will lose it. The longer we wait, the less chances we have to get the most out of this life. We need to achieve freedom while we still have our youth so we can actually use it. Because every single time you hear about this compound interest plan, it's over decades. Decades. I'm not saying it's bad to think long term, but thinking 20, 30, 50 years out, half a fucking century. Do you know how many things could change? How much you'll change? There's a pretty solid chance that you won't even make it to 65 to even sniff the retirement age. I know people at my age, at 23, who didn't even make it to my age. Let's say you finally reach 65 with money. When you retire at 65 years old after working and investing for over 4 decades, do you really think money is going to mean much? Like, sure, it is nice. It's better to have than nothing. You can finally stop working, but then what? Like, really, what the fuck are you going to do when you're that old? Like, not in a mean way, but have you seen someone past the age of 60? Do they look full of energy to you? Like they really want to go out and really live life up? Like they're going to go chase their dreams and really start pursuing the things that matter to them? After 40 years of working, all the dreams and goals you had are long gone. The world has changed so much. You are not going to want to do anything, go anywhere, have experiences. Those dreams you had in your 20s are long gone. You're tired all the time. Your back hurts. You might have scars, aches, pains. You might walk with a limp. There's a very good chance that all you're going to want to do is sit around and wait to die. And most of the money you do have stashed away is going to be spent on medical bills, trying to keep you alive just a little bit longer. Your potential kids might be getting older too, or they might have already died. Your parents probably are, or maybe your spouse could be gone by then too. Plus, if you make it to 65, you on average have 10 years left and you're dead forever. And if you're going to sleep a third of that off, you only have around 6 years left of actual life awake, and then you're gone. Worked your whole life for a possible 6 years of old person freedom. Why would we want that? If that's your best case scenario, then you can have it. Third is your life experience. If you did follow the plan of working a job you didn't like, saving and investing and being frugal over decades, and you finally made it, you'll reach the end knowing you lived your whole life working a job for a piece of paper. Basically, your whole existence was spent working a job you probably didn't like or cared that much about. You probably lived frugally, didn't get the things you actually wanted, and limited your human experience for $1. You didn't get to see the things you wanted to see, eat what you wanted to eat, drive what you wanted to drive. You'll look back at your life and realize that you did live above average, but you won't really have any interesting stories to tell. You'll have limited memories. You never became that person you wanted to be. And then you'll tell your kids that they need to work hard and make money so they can become a success like you are. You'll reach the end and have memories of just working. You'll spend the last 6 years awake, wishing you had more time and a chance to start over. And then you'll die, never to exist again. No flashes of an experienced full life before you die. Not a single penny you worked so hard for will follow you to your grave. And just like that, it's over, and you will never get another chance at this. So no, a job long-term will never give you freedom. And please, if it does, explain it to me. I have yet to see someone actually explain how you will ever become free. Now, of course, unless you find a job that's paying you hundreds of thousands of dollars right out of college in your 20s and you love it and it's amazing with benefits and you move up quick, sure, maybe, right? Maybe. I've never had a job paying that much, but I've heard it's incredibly hard to do and you might have to work at a place for years to even start making money. And even then, how scalable is it? When are you gonna stop working and have freedom? And I know someone's probably listening to all of this and thinking, well, having a job forever isn't that bad because, you can put more into a 401k or Roth IRA, you forgot to mention that one, or index funds. So that way when you're 60 or 65 after compound interest and blah, blah, blah. Bro, if that's someone's plan for you and you just accept it, value your existence more. That's not freedom. That's not life. I'm not saying we all have to do something that we absolutely love right now, but what's the long-term payoff? If you start saying that's going to take multi-decades to even start seeing results, that's not freedom. And if you can't even have freedom, you can't even begin the path on trying to get the most out of your life. If you work a 9-to-5 forever, like not temporarily, forever, you will live a soulless, mediocre life. Why would we choose that if today we have other options? So if young people don't want to work a 9-to-5 forever, then what do we want to do? Well, the simple answer is entrepreneurship or some form of it. We understand that we cannot save and invest our way to freedom. The only way we're going to get there is by becoming valuable and earning our way there. We understand that if we do not come up with our own plan for our lives, someone else will give us a plan and it will not be in our best interest. Okay, so remember, at the end, we just want freedom to live life on our terms, or at the very least, have a life that has some meaning and purpose in it. And not just freedom whenever we're old and breaking down, but freedom in our youth. And the only way to be truly free and have the ability to live life on our own terms is to make a large sum of money while we're young. So the plan is to make a large sum of money while we're young so we have the opportunity and time freedom to build the life that we want. And unless you're a professional athlete or a movie star, the next best thing will be to start or be a part of a successful business while we're young. And if I am wrong, please explain to me another path. It doesn't necessarily mean that we need to be a CEO of a $1 billion company, but wealth and freedom only comes to those who own something, are a part of something, or have some leverage. If you're just another replaceable cog in the machine, you're going to stay there forever. Or you'll finally be free when you are no longer useful to the system. So I feel like we should pause for a second, because whenever I say that we basically want to get rich quick, it sounds extremely wrong and scammy. And yes, I don't like saying that either, but I mean it in a different way. We want to get rich quick, as in 5, 10, 15 years, not the 40+ year path that might have worked in the past. Getting any type of true wealth or freedom within a day, 2 weeks, or even under a year is completely unrealistic unless you get extremely lucky or you're already extremely skilled. We all know that getting rich quickly, legally, without a ton of risk is practically impossible. But actually sitting down, coming up with a plan, taking action, learning, committing, growing, taking a risk, providing value, making an impact, creating something, just doing something different, so that over the course of a decade, we can at least have a taste of freedom, is much different than just saying, I want to get rich quick. We're not trying to join some 4X pyramid scheme. We're not trying to get rich in crypto or NFTs or whatever the thing is now. We even understand we're going to have to give up a lot of time, if not even more time than most. We're going to have to sacrifice, take risks, and do things we don't want to do. We understand that it might not pay off for years. We understand it is not an easy ticket to money. But if at the end, it at least gives us a chance of freedom, it's worth all the sacrifice. There were obviously some people who don't want to work at all and are lazy and don't have any plans at all. Like, those people have been around forever and will continue to do so. Everyone wants to be a king, but nobody wants to do king shit. That sounds kind of corny, but I hope you understand the point. Like, there's young people who say they want to make money, but they haven't read a single book about it. Young kids who have dropped out or have never went to college and aren't even trying to do anything else other than waste time. But there are others who simply want to get more out of their existence and will not waste it at a meaningless job forever and are looking for another path. Those who are using the internet, the most powerful tool ever, not to distract themselves all day scrolling, but using it to educate themselves and create opportunities. Those who are actually trying. So this is why you see a lot of younger people talking about not wanting a 9-to-5, but instead of wanting to be influencers, YouTubers, streamers, or whatever. It's not that all of us want to be exactly that or be those people, but we understand that those who do it right, are consistent, and build something with it are in a much, much better position than those at a regular job. We're just open and aware of other options and where they lead compared to a traditional long-term job. The internet and social media has allowed us to glance into the lives of other people, which is a good and a bad thing. The good that comes from it is that we can see people living a completely different lifestyle than most. We can see what's out there. We can see what's possible. We can see what's actually bullshit and what's realistic. We don't just focus on the highlights of someone's life, but what it took to get there, and we want to get a piece of that ourselves. Because when you understand for the first time that some of these people online are making more than a doctor's salary monthly in their 20s, it really makes you think. Most people don't even know. Those who do know just ignore it. And then most of those who don't ignore it get mad. And then there's some people who just want the end result. But then there are a few who are inspired, who actually commit so they can get a piece of that pie, who figure out the behind the scenes and focus on the process and not just the end. That's who I'm talking about in this video. Because at the end of the day, we are going to have to work. We are going to have to suffer. We're going to have to do something. And if we are going to have to do something, we at least want that something to be on our terms and have some sort of a worthy payoff at the end. It is as simple as that. It's like Mr. Beast. He has probably made more wannabe YouTubers than anyone. This isn't a problem at all. But there are two people. One who wants to do what Mr. Beast does, and one who actually wants to do what Mr. Beast does. Anyone can look at him and what the end result, the billion-dollar empire and getting millions of views per second or whatever. But not many people want to sit down and actually do it. To sit down, come up with the ideas, record the videos, edit the video, make the thumbnail, hire people, take risks, reinvest everything, and do that over and over consistently again and again over a decade without seeing the big results until the end. And sure, a lot, if not most of us, are just stupid and just want an excuse to not have a real job. Similar to how years ago, all kids wanted to be professional athletes or become an astronaut. Most will say they want it and then never even sign up. Even less will take it serious, and even much less will commit to it long term, make sacrifices, and actually try. And of course, not everyone can just stop and do this. Not everyone can start a business while they're young, and it is a privilege. I completely understand that, but there will be those who can and will. So in conclusion, instead of working a traditional 9-to-5 job forever, a lot of younger people are looking at entrepreneurship because we understand that's the only way to really make a lot of money while we're young, which can lead to freedom if done right. It is a privilege to even be considering starting a business while you're young, but a lot of us have the opportunity and we are going to take it, because the only way to guarantee we won't make it is to not even try. So it's not that we don't want to work. We want to, just on something meaningful with a larger payoff than staying at a job forever. Because 50 years ago, it was probably a pretty good idea to go get a degree, get a job, move up a company, and retire with a pension or something. But now, no, it just doesn't work. I just don't know what the alternative is. Either you work for yourself or you work for someone else to make them rich. The idea of working a job forever just bothers us. I can't speak for everybody, but I think a big reason why we don't want to do this for ourselves is because ever since we were young, we've seen people work jobs, like 9-to-5 jobs for years, and we just see where it leads. And usually those people are our parents. We love our parents. We appreciate everything they do. But we can just look at their faces and tell they aren't happy. And you really notice this when you start getting older. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all, because I understand people have to do what they have to do. And times were different back then, but I don't want that. They just look so drained. They usually don't have any time. They're always tired. They're anxious about their job. They don't want to go back. And they don't have time for much outside of a job because they have to get ready to go back to the job. They aren't free. They aren't fulfilled. And most of the time, the only purpose they have is us. And they can't even give us the life that they actually want to give us because they don't have the time or freedom to do so. And the crazy thing about it is that they somehow still have no money. A 9-to-5 for decades and still have no money. Like, sure, you can have stuff, but most of it is on credit or it's being paid off for over years and over decades. They've been working since they were young. They did everything right and they still aren't even free. If we do the same thing, it might be a little bit better. Like if we get a degree and then we get a job, sure. Instead of making 50, we might make 75 or $100,000, but so what? We got a bigger box to live in, maybe a shinier car, but we still aren't free. And if they gave up their lives, their dreams, everything, just for us to be here and have a chance at a better life, why would we waste it? Millions of people have lived lives full of pain and suffering and discomfort just for us to have a chance to get the most out of our lives. Why would we waste that? Why would I just accept a mediocre life? Why would I even attempt to see what this life is about? If they were here watching me, wouldn't that be what they would want me to do? It's just nobody enjoys their fucking job. Like, obviously, people only really work for money. So why not optimize for money so you can actually do what you want to do with your life? And obviously it's easier said than done, but what's the alternative? Accept a shit existence, remain comfortably numb, give up? Like, what else do you really have better to do? Because I get it. If you're 30, 35, 40 with kids and debt and mortgage and student loans, whatever, I get it. But as a 15 to like 25-year-old with the power of the fucking internet, with nothing but time and opportunity, why would you willingly just accept that life. Because 10,000 years ago, I get it. You had to go hunt for food. 500 years ago, I get it. My ancestors were slaves. 100 years ago, I get it. You didn't have much choice over anything you did other than what others told you to do. But today, you can literally Google any question ever and get an answer from some of the smartest people ever on any topic. We have all knowledge ever. We have AI. We have so much potential to do different things. Why wouldn't you even just try? Why would you take all this opportunity and just throw it away? Because 1,000 years ago, this wasn't possible. 100 years ago, this wasn't possible. Barely 10 years ago, this wasn't possible. A lot of younger people have a chance to do something life-changing and are not going to waste it. Just do the math. Do the fucking math. You get comfortable at a job and you start piling on debt and responsibilities, you're fucked. Your real dreams are gone. Your life is basically just working to pay off things for the rest of your life. If you want that, cool. If not, then do something while you can. A lot of younger people just simply don't want that. You just look at the regular path that most people take. It's just miserable. Is your entire life supposed to be just getting up, working? Because a job is not something that's like a small part of your life. For most people, it is a third of your life. And if you're gonna sleep another third of your life, half your time awake is your job. It is not something that we just want to stay at forever. If you want that, cool. If not, to do something different while you can. Things are getting expensive. Inflation is rising. The rich will get richer. Houses are expensive. McDonald's got rid of the dollar menu. Everything is getting harder and harder and will continue to do so forever. And all throughout history, it's always been poor and unfree people who had it the worst. And now we have a chance to switch sides and have something for ourselves, and we just shouldn't. So to wrap this up, it's not that we don't want to work. It's just that we realize how absurd the idea of working forever at a job is and are trying to do something different while we're young and we have the chance to do so. We just don't want to be comfortably numb. We want to get the most out of this short life that we have. We don't want to die knowing we were never free. No matter what path in life you choose, it is going to be hard. So why not pick the path that gives you the most at the end?